Living in Mexico, I've discovered several money tools that simplify everyday expenses, and none of them requires having a local bank account. And in this video, I'm gonna share my 4 favorite money tools that'll help you avoid unnecessary fees, cut down on the amount of cash that you need to carry with you, and also avoid the hassle of setting up a Mexican bank account. Let's jump in. Okay, so the first thing that we're going to talk about is how to save money on your day-to-day expenses. So even though credit card and also app-based payments have become more popular, cash is definitely still king down here in Mexico, and there will definitely be businesses that you'll encounter that don't accept anything but cash. So what you'll need is a good way to access cash that doesn't hit you with tons of fees, because ATM fees, international withdrawal fees, and even currency exchange fees can really add up. And my number one money tool for getting cash in Mexico is a Charles Schwab International debit card. So the reason that I love this exact card is that it doesn't charge international withdrawal fees, nor does it have currency exchange fees, and it also reimburses you for the ATM fees that the banks down here would charge you. So it is essentially free to take out money here in Mexico. So having the Charles Schwab debit card solves the problem of getting whacked with all sorts of fees, and therefore it is cheaper and more affordable to take out and use money here in Mexico. Also, it does offer a great exchange rate, so that is definitely a bonus. And just in general, it is great to have this card because you don't have to take out just giant wads of pesos because you want to avoid just using the ATM too many times. With this debit card, you can just kind of use it as often as you want and take out as much money as you want whenever you want to. And a quick pro tip, whenever you're at the ATM and they're offering the service of doing the conversion for you, always hit decline. The ATM conversion rates are terrible and you want your bank to do it on the back end, so always hit decline. So we've had the Charles Schwab debit card for 4 years now and we couldn't endorse it more. To get one, you actually do have to set up a Charles Schwab brokerage account, which is very simple to do online. And you don't have to fund your brokerage account at all. Like, the account minimum is 0. And we think it is totally worth doing because we couldn't endorse this card anymore. And this is not sponsored. We genuinely love them and we think it's worth it for you to get it. And just a pro tip, when you're down here in Mexico, the best way or the best banks to take out large sums of money from our experience is typically BBVA and also Banorte. So those are the best for taking out large sums because a lot of times they'll kind of struggle with the amount that the ATMs here can give you. And if for whatever reason you don't like the idea of getting this Charles Schwab card, there is also a Capital One 360 account that you can open, which I think operates pretty similarly to this Charles Schwab account. We've never used it before, that's why we're not talking about it and can't really endorse it. But if you have used it and you can share your experience, please leave it in the comments and let people know. Okay, so cash covers a lot of those smaller day-to-day expenses, but what about larger transactions? Well, for things like rent, that's actually often handled in cash or bank transfer. However, when thinking about cash, as I just mentioned, it's not that convenient to take out a lot of money here in Mexico. Some ATMs limit the amount that you can take out or simply don't have a lot of cash in them to withdraw. And of course, you probably don't want to be handling just large stacks of pesos each month. So my favorite money tool for transferring large sums of money is Wise. So you can think of Wise a little bit like a middleman that just helps the transfer between your bank in the US to your recipient's bank here in Mexico, but it helps you do it a lot easier and also more affordably than a typical direct bank transfer. And even though there are definitely different services that are similar to Wise, what I love about Wise is that the fees are very transparent. It also has a very competitive exchange rate and things happen super fast. So for my last transaction, I transferred like $1,400 from the US to someone's bank here in Mexico. The total cost was just over $12, so less than 1% of the total transaction. And according to my email confirmation, the transaction happened in 11 seconds. So just to clarify how Wise works, you don't actually have to store money within Wise. It really is just a transfer facilitator between two banks. So that's one thing that's really great about it. And it's also very easy to set up. You just go online and just kind of input the kind of information that you would expect to input for kind of a financial type business. And then when you're ready to send money, you just click send. You add your recipient's bank account details. You select the currency that you want to transact in. So it would be usually, I guess, from US to Mexican pesos, and then you'll see the exchange rate that you're going to be transacting in. And then finally, you just add the account that you want to send it from, so your bank accounts. So again, we love Wise because it saves us from having to have tons of cash for things like rent, and it's also a lot cheaper than a direct bank transfer from our bank in the US to any recipient bank here in Mexico. So we absolutely endorse it for larger transactions exactly like rent. And this one is also not sponsored. However, if you do want to sign up for Wise, then you can find our link in the description. So important to mention, this isn't one of my favorite money tools, but I do want you guys to know that I eventually do plan on getting a Mexican bank account. I just haven't done it yet because really I've had no need to do so, and there are some kind of additional bureaucratic steps that I would need to take in order to set up a local bank account as a temporary resident. So I've kind of been putting that off, but I will do it because I'm just curious about how that process looks like. And if it eventually is a good recommendation for some kind of transactions, then I would like to let you guys know that. But just remember, if you are thinking about setting up a foreign bank account or a bank account here in Mexico, as an American, there are definitely some tax implications. So if you are putting $10,000 or above in a foreign bank account, then you do have to report that to the IRS. And my understanding is that they don't love it. So just keep that in mind. That said, if you want to stay up to date on adventures here in Mexico, like how to set up a Mexican bank account, then definitely check out our fun and also very informational newsletter. You can find the link in the description and also in the top pinned comment. We promise you guys it's packed with very useful information, but also practical tips about life here in Mexico and just how to thrive once you are down here. So if you are thinking about moving to Mexico or even living here right now, check it out in the description and the top pinned comment, and we'll see you in there. So between cash for everyday expenses and Wise for larger expenses, you already have a lot of your money needs covered here in Mexico. However, some curveballs include utilities, topping up your local cell phone data, and also mid-sized transactions for products or services where cash is not accepted. And for those, there is my new favorite money tool, Mercado Pago. So Mercado Pago is a digital payments app that was founded by Mercado Libre, which is basically the Amazon of Latin America. And in some ways, it is a little bit similar to Wise in that you can also do bank-to-bank transfers. But what makes it a little bit different is that you can also transfer just using the recipient's phone number, so no bank account information is needed. So in that respect, it's a little bit similar to PayPal or Zelle or even Venmo. So thinking about utilities here in Mexico are often in the landlord's name. So if you're paying rent, then it's frequently just bundled into the rent price. However, if you own property here in Mexico, or if as a renter you're still just in charge of the utility payments, then note that utility payments here can be a little bit tricky. So obviously there is an online portal to make payments. However, a lot of these online portals do not accept international credit cards. And as an alternative, you can also go to the local convenience store and pay cash, but obviously that's a hassle. But this is one area where Mercado Pago can kind of step in and fill the gap and be a perfect tool for making utility payments. And kind of similar to that, you can also make kind of reloads to your local cell phone data directly in the app. So it is super convenient for that. So aside from those specific examples, utilities, and topping up your local cell phone data, note that money transfer is just a very popular way here in Mexico to send and receive money. So specifically for kind of mid-sized transactions, so a lot of gyms and even our meal delivery service here in Merida, they only accept cash or money transfer. And Mercado Pago is just a great tool in this exact example to just have a very convenient app-to-app payment method. So all you need is the recipient's phone number, and there's no fee, and you can just send money easily and on the spot. So absolutely a great tool. The only drawback to Mercado Pago is that it's potentially a little bit difficult to set up. So we have found this money tool super helpful in that it just reduces the amount of cash that we always have to have with us. Also, if we do encounter a business or service just in our day-to-day where they're not accepting credit card and maybe we don't have enough cash on us, it's always just a great backup to make a very simple cell phone to cell phone transfer. So awesome in that sense as well. In the future, I think I will also explore using it to pay rents because you can also do a direct transfer to bank accounts, and because you can load it with your credit card with no fee, you're basically paying rent with credit card, which has its own benefits. If all of this sounds fun to you, then you can download Mercado Pago in the description. So the last money tool on this list is your trusty credit card, but hear me out, you don't just want to use any credit card here in Mexico. So many places in Mexico do accept credit card, and we typically use it for larger daily expenses. That's kind of for the same reason that we don't always want to have tons of cash with us, and we just don't want the hassle of constantly going to an ATM. So we use credit card when we are grocery shopping, at pharmacies, and also going to more kind of like upscale restaurants. We try not to use it at smaller businesses, even though a lot of them do accept credit card, and that's just so that they don't have to pay the credit card commissions. Just one thing to definitely keep in mind here is that you want to use a credit card that doesn't have international fees. So if you do have a card that gets charged international fees, you will absolutely feel it, and it is not worth it. Also keep in mind that Amex is generally not as broadly accepted here in Mexico as Visa or MasterCard. In terms of the credit cards that we use, we have the Chase Inc. business card that we use for travel and dining expenses. And then we have the Capital One Venture X for basically everything else, which mostly means groceries. Now, both of these credit cards do have annual fees, and the Capital One Venture X fee is kind of high, although it does pay for itself. If you do want to learn more about these cards, then you can find their link in the description. So here's a quick summary of my favorite money tools. For daily cash expenses, the best way to get cash without any fees is with the Charles Schwab debit card. For larger transactions, Wise is an amazing transfer tool that you can use to transfer big sums of money, like for rent. For utilities and small on-the-go payments, we use the app Mercado Pago. And for everything else, credit card without international fees. Visa and MasterCard are recommended. Remember guys, the link to all of these money tools will be in the description and also in that top pinned comment. However, if you have any questions and want to reach out directly, leave them in the comment section or just shoot me an email. I'm always very happy to help. And if you guys do want to sign up to our newsletter, you can also find that link in the top pinned comment in the description. I promise you it's packed with tons of great information about life here in Mexico and also moving here to Mexico, so definitely check it out. If you guys want to watch another video about life here south of the border, check this one out next. And thank you guys so much for watching. See you next time.